This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Sell TikTok to an American company.
Safe haven here in New York for those who want to come here and be castrated.
There is still no arrest.
People are looking for armed bodyguards.
Making billions and billions of dollars off the most dangerous and violent material.
You should respond to a text message within 20 minutes.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. An Arctic chill and a bit more snow in the forecast. A lake effect snow warning continues until tomorrow morning with another 6 to 12 inches of the white stuff possible for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties in western New York, Erie, Crawford, Warren, Venango, Mercer, and Forest counties in Pennsylvania, also covered by that snow warning. Kevin Williams has more in a few minutes. Not a good day for TikTok. The social media company just suffered a major court defeat. A federal appeals panel upheld a law banning the app in the United States next year.
The United States government's position to TikTok's parent corporation is this: just sell TikTok to an American company. But the Chinese government will not allow that, nor will it allow changing TikTok's algorithm.
The case will be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Lawmakers don't like content on TikTok that encourages teenagers to steal cars or engage in global challenges that cause bodily harm. Former Marine Daniel Penny no longer faces the most serious manslaughter charge in the subway choking case out of New York City. That order just issued an hour ago.
Manslaughter in the second degree is dismissed, and you're now free to consider count 2. Then render a verdict on that one.
The Marine was protecting people from a homeless man who said he'd kill everyone on the train, but the chokehold he used to restrain him was fatal. New York could become a transgender operation destination if the U.S. Supreme Court upholds states' rights to ban the procedure on children. So says the faith-based group New York Families.
So if the court does uphold the rights of Tennessee to stop doctors from castrating children, then you will see a reaction to that in New York. And I expect there will be an effort to protect doctors who choose to castrate children.
CEO Jason McGuire says the Supreme Court will issue a landmark ruling on so-called gender-affirming care on children next June. Fallout continues after a Syracuse City Court judge refused to marry a same-sex couple. Onondaga County DA William Fitzpatrick says he's planning to ask Judge Felicia Pitts Davis to recuse herself from cases that his office handles. Pitts Davis wouldn't marry the couple due to her religious beliefs. Still no sign of the person police say killed a healthcare company CEO in Manhattan on Wednesday. The search has now expanded to multiple states, and police say they're close to figuring out the suspect's name.
A lot of clues, a few breadcrumbs, and those raise the question how this individual could have escaped. And we are now more than 48 hours after the crime was committed, and there is still no arrest.
Meanwhile, there's been an unexpected surge in requests since that assassination for bodyguards. News Nation's Laura Engel talked with owners of private security firms.
Ever since Wednesday afternoon, they've been getting call after call. People are looking for armed bodyguards to go along with executives to meetings and lawyers and film executives.
Security agencies in New York City say they don't have more personnel to send out. December is already their busy season. The ACLU is fighting a Texas law that requires age verification to access adult websites. Peter Gentala is director of the National Center on Sexual Exploitation.
A child in the United States right now can't go into a brick and mortar retail store like a Walmart and purchase sexually graphic material, but they can go uninhibited online to some of the largest websites in the world who are making billions and billions of dollars off the most dangerous and violent material that's imaginable.
Brittany De La Mora used to work in the adult entertainment industry, but now she speaks out against the proliferation of pornography.
Anybody can go on any pornographic website. It'll say, are you 18? Click enter. If so, you just click enter and boom, you're on porn. Porn is easily accessible, and I stand for age verification because we need to protect young children.
The percentage of children under the age of 13 who are exposed to porn has more than doubled the past 20 years. A South Carolina woman who bought a doll for her daughter has sued Mattel, claiming the child was led into illicit web content. Michael Harrington reports.
It all began with the packaging for the company's dolls based on the characters in the Broadway musical Wicked. The box included a message urging kids to visit the Wicked website, but when they did, they arrived at an online porn destination. Mattel blames a misprint on the box and has since recalled the dolls.
The government says employers added 227,000 jobs last month. That's a bounce back from the month before. Economist Stephen Junol.
It's healthcare, it's leisure and hospitality, and it's also the public sector. It's not necessarily the federal government, but it's state and local. So all of these sectors are adding jobs relatively quickly, and they have been for some time.
Overseas, the 860-year-old Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, France, reopens to the public this weekend, more than 5 years after a devastating fire.
As Notre Dame reopens now, officials are extending visiting hours until 10 each night, expecting 15 million or more in just the next few months, with as many as 40,000 a day touring the refurbished cathedral.
President-elect Donald Trump will be among 50 heads of state present for Saturday's reopening ceremony. Soccer's top star has earned Major League Soccer's MVP award.
Lionel Messi won the award despite missing half of the MLS season. But in the 19 regular season games he did play, he scored 20 goals, and he also had 11 assists.
And mankind's return to the moon may take longer than expected.
Artemis 1 launched the uncrewed Orion capsule 2 years ago to test the heat shield, but the results weren't perfect. And now NASA Administrator Bill Nelson says Artemis 2 won't be able to fly until April of 2026. That means Americans won't walk on the moon again until the middle of 2027 at the earliest.
Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, a sit down with the Capital Connection crew, Jason McGuire and Michael Gear, and our own Bob Price next after weather with Kevin Williams.
Considerable cloudiness and cold tonight with a few flurries. Lake effect snow continuing well north of Syracuse and well south of Buffalo. Several more inches in those two locales. Continue to urge extra care traveling overnight into your Saturday morning. Lake snow shift north tomorrow toward Watertown and into Buffalo. Elsewhere, some early sun and clouding up with a general light snow later in the day and at night. High temperatures low 30s. Sunny, mostly cloudy, breezy, not as chilly with high temperatures then around 40.
Thank you, Kevin. On deck next, a sit down with the Capital Connection crew and what's going on in Harrisburg in Pennsylvania. We start with Michael Gear and marijuana in the Keystone State. Let's listen in.
So top of the agenda for Governor Shapiro and some of the Democrat legislators. But I think, what we saw in this last election back in November with the defeats for legalization of marijuana that happened in Florida and South Dakota, that it is somewhat of a different environment. There's starting to be pushback against marijuana that has not been the case for the last couple of decades as the legalization has spread across the country. But with those defeats there and with the additional knowledge that's coming out about the harms of this high-potency marijuana in commercial settings, gives us, I think, solid ground to fight against this and to stop it here in Pennsylvania.
Jason, I wanted to ask you, a city court judge in Syracuse, New York, got herself into some hot water recently. Her name is Felicia Pitts Davis. She would not sanction a same-sex marriage, saying that it went against her religious beliefs. Is she going to be able to beat the rap here, or do you think the state of New York is going to make an example out of this judge?
Well, it seems like some would like to make an example out of her. You've already seen a statement from the governor. You've seen a statement from local people there that are on the liberal side of the spectrum that are calling for her resignation. But the reality is no one was discriminated against. The same-sex couple that sought to be married, this judge just handed them to another judge who did not have the same convictions as her. The couple was married. What's being disrespected here is the judge's right to religious liberty. And remember, this is not a Republican judge. This is a liberal African-American judge in Syracuse. So this is an issue that crosses party lines. It really is just about the principles of religious freedom in America.
Yeah, we'll see where that one goes. Also in 2025, Michael, I know there's going to be a big push for educational choice, those lifeline scholarships, which you guys have been fighting so hard for. Do you think there will be much of an appetite for this sort of legislation for children in failing schools?
Well, I know the push is going to continue. There's already sponsorship memos out from newly elected or re-elected legislators looking for expansion to school choice. It's something the governor has said he supports, although he kind of went against his own position in vetoing legislation that included expansion of school choice in the last session. Teachers Union is going to oppose it, but the appetite for school choice continues to increase in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Jason, talking about education, President-elect Trump wants to blow up the federal Department of Education, return education policy to the states. Might that backfire in a state like New York?
Well, it can in the sense that whenever the pendulum swings one direction in D.C., there tends to be a swing the other direction at the state level. And so if you have a more conservative majority that is moving in a more conservative direction at the federal level, then you may see some of that pendulum swing towards more liberal side of things, towards issues that would hurt many people that share my faith and share my values here in the Empire State. So I think you're going to see a reaction to what's happening in Washington, D.C. in New York State.
At the U.S. Supreme Court this week, hearing this landmark case having to do with a Tennessee law that bans sex change procedures on children. But Justice Sotomayor may have taken the cake by saying that the side effects of these irreversible operations is akin to taking aspirin, is how she kind of defined it. But if the court does uphold these laws, how would this affect things in New York?
So if the court does uphold the rights of Tennessee to stop doctors from castrating children, we will offer safe haven here in New York for those who want to come here and be castrated. You will see a severe reaction here in New York, something that New York voters should wake up to and realize is going on.
Michael, Brian Cutler, no longer the House Republican leader in Harrisburg. There's a new guy in town. His name is Jesse Topper. What are your thoughts about his leadership role?
We think Jesse Topper is going to be a great leader in the House of Representatives for the Republicans. Brian Cutler was somebody that we knew very well and worked very closely with, but so much the same with Jesse Topper. We've known him since his initial election to the House of Representatives and have worked closely with him on a variety of issues that I know your listeners would be concerned about or care about. Very solidly pro-family, pro-life, and we're excited about his leadership.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about this guy. He's a Bronx Democrat in Congress, and Richie Torres is his name. There's a lot of talk that he may take on Governor Hochul in the 2026 primary election.
I think it is a serious threat. You already see that he has been attacking her from his position. You're seeing words coming now from Republicans that are looking to challenge the governor. She's going to be in trouble for the next couple of years here, looking towards that 2026 election. That's why she's fundraising so hard. She's sitting currently on $13.5 million as continuing to fundraise, late into December here. She knows she's got a challenge, and her positions are beginning to moderate as she is trying to win back some votes in the next couple of years.
That's Michael Gear and Jason McGuire and our own Bob Price. If you want to hear the full interview, check it out online at familylife.org/podcast. Click on Capital Connection. Time next for tonight's market report, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing mixed to end the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 123 points to 44,642. The S&P 500 added 15 points to 6090. The Nasdaq rose 159 points to 19,859. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
Sometime this Christmas season, you'll probably hear a reference to jolly old St. Nicholas. Well, he was a real person. Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. We don't know much about Nicholas, at least not with certainty, but we do know he died on December 6th in the year 345, and that he was a Christian bishop in the land we now know as Turkey. Nicholas eventually became the inspiration for Sinterklaas, as the Dutch call him, or as we say in our part of the world, Santa Claus. Down through the ages, people have told many stories about Nicholas. While it's impossible to separate fact from legend, there's no doubt these stories were inspired by Nicholas' great generosity. So may jolly and generous Saint Nick be a role model for each of us. We can help you learn to manage your money according to biblical principles when you download the free FaithFi app. You'll find it on our website at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, how long do you take to send a text back? A brand new study out, and we'll check it out after weather with Kevin Williams.
We're not done with the lake effect yet. A shifting band of lake snow in areas near Lake Erie and one off Lake Ontario tonight will be moving north tomorrow, impacting areas that will include Buffalo and the south side of Watertown. Outside of the lake effect, there'll be mainly just flurries around, but it'll be cold throughout. Elsewhere and otherwise, variable clouds, flurries, a touch of light snow in the afternoon and evening, and high temperatures approaching 30. Sunday, a cloudy start, then a few breaks of sun for some. Breezy, not as chilly, high temps near 40.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at 5, Americans send 6 billion texts every single day. Correspondent Bree Tennis says how fast you respond to them says a lot about you.
General etiquette says you should respond to a text message within 20 minutes, but time value is placed on relationship status. Studies show we're quick to respond to our boss or immediate family member, but friends usually have to wait. Statistic and Trends website says the average response time is 90 seconds. Psychologists say that rapid-fire response is from efficient multitaskers, but those who take longer are not monsters. They just need more time to process or maybe find their phone. I'm Bree Tennis.
And that's the world that we live in for Friday, the 6th of December. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.